Tonight we're having this conversation about something we've talked about before in a much cruder form. The conversation is about something that's called the Faster Scale. The Faster Scale is now a fully functional, they were telling me they were trying to do this about 3 years ago, and I remember I was like one of the test places for this. They now have this thing as a full-blown app, and so it's called, if you want to pull it up, it's like fasterscale.app. It'll come right up to it. So when you pull that up, we're going to go through all this. When you pull that up, you'll be able to log on and like do a trial run for a while. But for $5.95 for an entire month, you can go to that app as often as you want to. I would recommend probably going to it for a while every day, because eventually, if you do that, you're going to find some of the emotional trends that you're in the middle of. You're going to find some of the spiritual trends that you're in the middle of. And it's going to gauge really how close you actually are to a relapse of whatever compulsion or addiction you've been struggling with. So let's just say your struggle has to do with money and struggling with money and security, let's say. You'll be able to gauge like where you are and how close you are to getting to a place where you really can't function very well with the whole idea of money anymore. Or it might be depression, or it might be a loss, or it might be a hurt, or it might be any variety of things that are affecting you that could lead you to that kind of a relapse where you're kind of like now in a place of being crippled. And we're trying to find a way to help you to avoid that before you ever get to that crippled place. And so the idea is the more you know about where you actually are, the more you're going to be able to know like what to do next. And so if you have not been coming to a group, first of all, I'd recommend you do that. But in addition to a group, you can also use a tool like this. If you're not coming to a group at all, and you just don't think you want to, there's also good news, because this app will connect you to other persons, and you're going to be able to get some help right online. It's a really good thing. Like I'm very proud of how they did this. And so the people that have done this are the same people that did all this work with the Genesis process. We've used that a lot in the last couple of years. They developed this app, and they finally got it across the finish line by kind of having some other people sub for it, But it's really good stuff. We're going to talk about this a lot tonight. So it is an app that's for recovery groups. It's an app that is for mentors. It's an app that's for sponsors. If you're sponsoring somebody, you probably want to write down this thing, fasterscale.app, and you're probably going to want to recommend this app in a lot of cases to the person you're sponsoring. You're going to help them. You're going to help yourself to know more about them and what's really making them tick. It's really good stuff, I think. So it kind of is the process by which you can find yourself getting some real care before you go into a full-blown relapse. Faster Scale, what it does is it turns a 7-stage, we're going to talk about all of these, a 7-stage step process into a daily practice for you, for your sponsor, or for your group. You can do this process in about 2 minutes a day. And I'm going to recommend, if you get a hold of this thing, again, $5.95. You can cancel it anytime you want to. That's cheaper than Netflix. That's cheaper than Hulu. That's probably cheaper than Peacock. That's cheaper than Paramount. That's definitely cheaper than Prime Video on Amazon. So think about that. And this is actually going to help in a lot of ways. Great connection points, great opportunity for conversation. Fasterscale.app. So I'm going to go through the 7 stages of this 2-minute honest look that you can take inside of yourself. First piece, R, stands for recovery. So recovery is where you and I really want to live. It's where the great balance is. It's where the greatest level of acceptance is. It's where the greatest honesty is. It's where the greatest life change is occurring. It's the most life-giving of everything we're going to talk about tonight. There's no doubt about that. Lots of people talk about getting into recovery in AA or NA or Al-Anon, and they will say to me, for the longest time, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 8 years, I felt pretty much like I was alone, and I felt like I was dead. Recovery pulls you out of that valley of the shadow of death. And eventually, as Jesus sits down with you and finds you in that valley, he's going to take you by the hand and he's going to say, listen, we're not going to be able to sit here forever. That's what recovery says. How do I find myself letting Jesus love me and walk me through the valley of the shadow? How do I find myself being willing to get up and take that next step toward freedom? Out of the pit into freedom. Walking with Jesus and eventually being free. Recovery is really where we want to live. Let's look at some of the things that now go on when we are getting closer to not being in a healthy place. First thing that's going to happen is it's like F. F stands for forgetting priorities. Example, you just don't forget to pay one bill, you forget to pay 5 or 6. You find yourself forgetting what you were going to get at the grocery. You find yourself forgetting somebody's birthday. You find yourself forgetting stuff that your mom's birthday or whatever. It's like that. You find yourself forgetting things you think you should have remembered. You're like, what's going on is emotionally you're distracted. The warning signs are forgetting stuff like that, despite how you and I work to kind of concentrate, we find ourselves not getting better at those priorities. We find ourselves missing stuff, missing deadlines, missing commitments, missing stuff that we agreed to. Those are all some warning signs. We find ourselves also getting progressively frustrated with why that's happening. We're not really asking the question yet, which would be a good question, what is it that I'm currently distracted by? If I was asking that question, I probably could make some progress. But along the way with this forgetting priorities, we find ourselves distracted by our failure because we're like, should have, would have, could have, I should have done better, I would have done better. If this hadn't happened, it would have worked out the way it should have. That's kind of like an early warning sign of what's going on that's taking you to a full place of being kind of feeling like you're a million miles away from recovery. Another piece of that is A. It stands for anxiety. What are some warning signs of anxiety? It's 10 o'clock at night. I'm driving my car home. I become anxious about who's driving beside me, how fast they're driving, is it light enough, what is going to happen at that next curve, am I navigating the road well, am I going too fast, am I going too slow, is something coming up beside me that's going to cause me a problem. And we just find ourselves, instead of enjoying driving, we don't enjoy it at all. It becomes an anxious place, a place where we kind of feel unsettled inside and we're not sure how we're going to be going all the way home. Let's say home is 30 minutes away. It might feel like one of the longer 30 minutes of your life for some reason. You don't know why. You don't know, why is that happening? Why am I feeling what I'm feeling? What is actually going on with me? Those are all some good indicators of anxiety. Next warning sign, it stands for an S. So the S has to do with speeding up. I'm anxious. I'm kind of unsure of what's going to happen next. I'm forgetting my priorities. And now what I'm doing is I need everything to happen in warp speed. I'm becoming preoccupied with stuff not happening fast enough. People aren't making decisions fast enough. You know what it's like when you get in the line at Kroger's. You get in the line at Walmart. I don't know why you're getting in line at Walmart, but there you are. And so now, you used to be able to stand in that line for a good 15 minutes and it didn't bother you at all. You would talk freely to people that were beside you. You would have some fun. You would chit-chat. You would do this. You would do that. And then all of a sudden you find yourself wanting to get down to business. You don't understand why they can't get you checked out faster. You don't understand why the idiots in front of you keep putting more stuff in their cart, why they're so slow to unload it, and on and on and on. And why and why and why. The anxiety of it, looking at your watch, how much time is this really going to take? So the 45-minute lunch, or the hour you take for lunch, you're getting anxious about getting back to work 20 minutes in. You're getting anxious about what it would be like to just get out of the car and go in there and get a Gatorade or whatever. All that creates anxiety. Those are some of the warning signs that speeding up brings you to. You want everything to happen in your life faster than it does. It's like earlier this summer, the obsession was, like if you think about this, people were writing stuff in on the news or whatever about the airport at McGee-Tyson. And they were like, whoa, I had to wait 2 hours to be able to get on my flight at McGee-Tyson. I'm going, here's a simple answer. Do you have like pre-check? Do you have that? No. People respond back, did you ever get pre-check? No, it's $25. Like, you won't spend 2 hours in line. Do I actually believe at our little airport that the line was all the way back to the parking lot? And maybe you saw that. If you did, man, God help you. But I don't think I've ever seen that go into the parking garage. People are telling me it happened. But to see that, you would pull up if you're in that speeding up place of emotion. That would just send you to the moon. You might go home. You might go, I don't want to go on this trip that bad. You might go, I think I'll go tomorrow. You know, my wife does it for a living, obviously, and so she doesn't leave early normally, but she left on some trip fairly early a couple of weeks ago, and she did say the line was like down to like toward the end of the fountain, but I mean, of course, she doesn't know. I mean, she just does whatever she wants. Goes up there, shows her little badge, and cruises right on. I hate that, but that's what she does. So the speeding up part, though, is really about wanting everything to happen faster than it does. Being very, I guess the word is very impatient. Have you ever felt like that? Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, when you're feeling particularly impatient with checkout people driving the car in front of you, kind of any of those arenas, have you ever stopped to ask yourself, why am I feeling like I'm having to have everything happen so fast? Why is that? Why is it like I have finally learned some kind of a way to kind of like, in most of the time, not always, but most of the time, kind of enjoy driving around. Like I don't normally drive that far over the speed limit. Sometimes, but not normally. And I just kind of enjoy myself. Why not? Knoxville is not a big enough city to where it's going to make that much difference whichever way you're going to go. And we all know that. But when people are highly stressed about traffic, and you think they're talking about New York, or you think they're talking about LA, or you think they're talking about Atlanta, and they're talking about here, it's like there isn't that long of here. Here all the way, if it was stopped traffic from Watt Road all the way downtown, how long would that take you? Maybe an hour? If it wasn't dead stop, but if traffic was moving at all, maybe an hour, right? About an hour. Well, Does that make you feel like you might die in an hour? And you're like, yeah, it really does. I get really irritated. I can't really understand why people can't move. Why do people have to switch lanes? Why do they got to be in the right lane? The right lane is always the slow lane. It's like, that can't be true. No, every lane I get into is deliberately the slow lane. I'm like, so you think, this is a sure way to know that you're in the speed up place. So you think that the lane you pick, people have this in their cars. Mark Beebe is now switching to the right lane. Everybody go right. Like, do you really think that? And they go, yeah, I really do. It's like, okay, it's probably time for us to have some time with Jesus. How about that? So the next letter is like T. T stands for going farther than being frustrated. It stands for being outright ticked off. Like, ticked off means I'm angry. I'm now not like just kind of complaining about the people in front of me. I'm like irate. I don't like the way they're living their life. I'm being treated unfairly. They're ripping me off. They are, and 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 they are. And I'm angry. That's a warning sign. How often, a question that comes out of that, I think, is, how often are you actually angry about A, B, C, D, or E? So you ask somebody, does this normally make you angry? Oh, it always makes me furious. It's like, what do you think would happen if you sort of started maybe thinking about going to work on that particular feature in your life? No, it's not me. It's like really other people. It's like what other people do. Well, it could be true, but that ticked off place advances the deal of trying to outgun the competition with speeding up. Now I'm just angry all the time. That's a warning sign. And then I'm angry not just I might be angry at myself, but I'm really going to probably take it out on you. That's a warning sign. The next letter is the letter E. This gets more serious. E stands for outright exhausted. All the anxiety, all the stress, all the anger, and other emotions, all the fear has now finally, at the place I am, caught up to me. And now I'm exhausted. I find myself not wanting to have friends, not wanting to be around people, not wanting to do very much, not wanting to go out, not wanting to have people over, not wanting to meet anybody ever, not wanting to hang out with people, wanting to be by myself. Those are all the kind of warning signs of where that and how that exhaustion lives. And those warning signs, that kind of functioning actually causes more and deeper levels of exhaustion. The less I do, the more sleepy I get, the more exhausted I'm going to become. Does that make sense? And I'm going to find myself not really able to get the kind of actual rest that I need. That's because of all the features I've talked about. Angry, trying to run my life in warp speed, and it's finally catching up to me. And now I'm just shot. I'm exhausted. That's a major warning sign. That's the warning sign that would be occurring before what we're now going to call a relapse. That's R. A relapse has to do with a variety of different pieces. If my compulsion of choice, let's say, is anger, I know I'm dangerously close to relapse when I'm basically picking a fight with everybody in the room. I'm angry at her, I'm angry at him, I'm angry at my husband, I'm angry at my kids, I'm angry at my friends, can't trust anybody, don't like anybody, everybody else is screwed up, all of that. I'm in a relapse when I'm not taking good care of myself physically. I'm not eating well, I'm not sleeping well, I'm drinking too much, I'm drugging too much, all of that is true. There are other relapses besides the classics, which are drug and alcohol relapses. There are a million others. There's relapses with sexuality. There's relapses with isolation. There's relapses with acute anxiety. There's relapses with a depressive state. There are a lot of relapse characteristics. Those warning signs show up in a lot of cases when it's almost too late for me to pull out of the tailspin. And now I got to seek help. I got to seek help. Those are all of the features that show up in this faster scale. If you will use this every day for a week, you can gauge kind of where you are emotionally, and you can gauge where you are spiritually, and you can gauge where you are mentally. You really can. And you're going to kind of know the level of help that's going to make sense. Perhaps early in this, if it's just more of a higher stage deal, you can go, I really should be going to that group on this Al-Anon group on Tuesday night. This group here, I really should be going to this men's group. I really should be in some kind of a fellowship experience. I really should be going to some kind of a church somewhere. I really need to do that. I really need to connect with other people. The more severe those outcomes are, the more you got to take direct action. I really should see a doctor. I really should think about seeing a therapist. I really should think about having a really good trusted friend that I can talk to. I really should try to reconnect with someone in my life who I really feel like I'm at odds with. And that's what's causing this kind of anxiety. Those are all indicators of what the next step, action step is. You're going to find all of that available if you'll just sit there for at least a couple of weeks and do this fasterscale.app. It will take you max 2 or 3 minutes to do it. It's going to gauge how you are, where you are, how Jesus is starting to speak to you or how you don't believe he is, and kind of like what steps to take next. And moreover, if you'll do that, you're going to also find yourself able to connect to real people in real time on that app that can actually help and make a difference. If you're kind of like, you're coming in, you're like, I'm not really ready to do a group in person. Okay, then pick this Faster app and use their connection points. They're all good. I'm telling you all that because I think, number one, this tool is very, very valuable in getting us kind of hard stop when we find ourselves heading toward a pit. I also think it's a very valuable tool to recommend to other people that you know when you see them kind of struggling mightily. They might kind of blow you off for a while, but then you keep recommending it and go, I think this thing can really help. I think this can really help. Wherever you find yourself, this tool can really help. It's worth, if you don't think it's worth the $5.95, if you come to me and tell me that, I will personally give you your $5.95 back. How about that? That's a promise. I want to thank you for being here tonight. Let's pray. Sweet Jesus, we just thank you for all this kind of help that is now available. We thank you for the groups that are a part of this place. We thank you for the rigorous honesty that these groups represent. We thank you for the truth-telling. We thank you for the open sharing. We thank you for the heartfelt openness that is available here. We thank you for creating at Recovery at Cokesbury a safe place for people to share what is on their heart, especially when their heart is broken. In your sweet name, amen.